So I think the biggest story this morning, whether we like it or not, has to be, well, the U.S. threat is still there, but Governor Diri going to the APC seems to be a big deal. And Dr. Fineface, let me bring you in and ask you this. Bayelsa and Rivers have always been, in very close proximity. In fact, I remember as at 1999, State House for Bayelsa was still in Port Harcourt in the early days of Alamisa. So now that, Bayelsa has crossed, governor has crossed to the APC, do you think this has any influence? Or do you think that, Fubara still has to sit tight and remain to do whatever Wike wants? But first of all, let me get your opinion on the defection of the Governor Diri, because he says he wanted to prevent Bayelsa from being buried to the PDP. What's your opinion on that?
Thank you. I think the situation is really worrisome because to a very large extent, we have seen the vocality of the Bayelsa State Governor, who is now in the PDP. He's now in the APC. While he was in the PDP, he was focused more on castigating the PDP, the APC, and even talked about how the FCT minister was playing his card and wasn't playing it well. That is why we even praise the FCT minister when he said that those who were even criticizing him are now going to the APC even before him. So it is worrisome, but then he has given his reasons that he doesn't want the state to be buried with PDP. And then he also claimed that his defection is in the best interest of Bayelsa people. And then he's using these positions to offer 99% vote to Bola Ahmed Tinubu 2027, which I strongly believe he's not going to achieve. 99% vote is not going to achieve that, because whether he likes it or not, all the storm in the state have not settled as a result of this defection, because the deputy governor didn't go with him. And as a result of that, so there is plan by the state assembly to impeach him. That is still on the way, and they are currently in court. So as long as the deputy governor remains in the PDP, there is still a lot of issues on the ground in Bayelsa State which they need to slug out.
That's a serious issue. You mentioned the deputy governor still refusing to leave the PDP. So this would also mean that there are still strong pockets of PDP members in Bayelsa that have not moved with Governor Diri to the APC.
Definitely. The number one on the list is the deputy governor, and then you talk about the senator. Siriake Dixon is also on that line. And we have been told that the deputy governor is loyal to Senator Siriake Dixon and even to Timi Priscilla, who is still in the PDP. So all of this put together, I think, Siriake Dixon, I think is APC. So all of this put together, I think there is still deep-rooted members of the PDP in that state. And as a result of that, there is still a lot of also to cross for the governor. So the fact that he promised 99% vote, that one is crystal clear that he's not going to achieve that. But then I think that to a very large extent, having crossed that way, the resources will begin to go towards that direction to build the APC in the state. So I think he has successfully achieved that. And he is not a first-time governor, he's a second-time governor. And when he finishes from office, he's trying to also prepare grounds for his retirement from the state level and then go to national politics, after he finishes his tenure here. So to a very large extent, the PDP is still very much on the ground in Bayelsa State, and you find it very difficult to achieve 99% vote for Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027, in as much as I believe that Tinubu will win the state. But the vote for Tinubu won't be 99%.
Can I throw in some conspiracy now? Because we look at the deputy governor now, and we look at the strongest pillar of PDP in the state is Timi Priscilla, who is currently wanted for an alleged coup financing. Now, is it possible that this is just, party tribulations, and maybe this was what was coming up, and maybe it was just a way to remove any opposition before APC sweeps the state? Do you think, because this is a conspiracy that is, going around, that the coup plot charges were basically road clearance to allow the governor defect in peace? But what's your take on that conspiracy?
I don't think so, Namdi, because to an extent, I don't think that, Timi Priscilla in the picture can prevent the governor from defecting. Remember, both of them were at the polls, and he defeated him at the polls.
I mean, just to weaken the structure.
Right.
Nandi?
I mean, just to weaken the structure. Like we saw in Enugu here, just before the defection of the governor, we had the resignation of the highest ranking APC member, Chief Uche Naji, who was Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology. And once he resigned, the state party structure was dissolved, and then the governor defected. Then we see Triple Silva, having the issues of being involved in an alleged coup, and then quote unquote on the run, and then the governor defects. It seems as if, high-ranking opposition within or outside the APC is first moved out of the way so that the entire structure of the party in the state can be handed to the defecting governor, as if that is part of the deal.
Definitely, I agree with you, Namdi, that is part of the deal. But like I was saying, I believe that even while he was there, the defection would have still happened. But then to further weaken the internal structure of the PDP in the state is the reason why you are having some of those. But I think that this matter is still under investigation, and with time we'll get to know if actually was involved in the alleged coup financing and funding. And when that becomes clear, we will now know whether it was just a smoke screen for the defection, or it was an actual truth that he actually funded, the alleged coup plot.
Okay, the two headlines will connect now. The one front and center of Daily Trust, the U.S. threat, what federal government should do, according to a diplomat. And this diplomat is calling on the federal government to go ahead and send the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs to engage the American government on what exactly is happening in Nigeria with facts. This diplomat is calling for the FD to provide those facts, what's truly on ground, to the American government. Then on the other side, the Punch, top left corner, Tinubu moves to appoint new ambassadors amid U.S. tension. We're seeing President Tinubu appointing ambassadors, getting ready for that, as of course Nigerians are wondering what's going to happen if American troops go ahead and land in Nigeria. How do you feel about these two headlines? I mean, one saying engaged, now Tinubu is appointing ambassadors. Is it a weekend or a week too late for that?
I think it's a decision that is getting too late, because the reason why the U.S. is reacting now is something that we have been facing in Nigeria. We have been talking about it, we have been shouting, but the government wasn't taking any action to address the issues. So a voice coming from the United States now, not coming from any other person, but the #1 citizen of the United States, from the #1 nation in the world. I think that these actions that are being taken now are more reactionary other than being proactive. Mr. President failed to appoint ambassadors right from time. He is now trying to do it because if we have had ambassador in the United States, the ambassador would have been taking steps to have some discussions, share information with the Nigerian government, and they get to know what was going on before this. I know that the mission in the US must have been sending messages, but the level to which they can go is limited to the fact that they do not have an ambassador. And now the US has made this threat. It's beginning to make them to sit up. So I think that the diplomatic advice that has been given now to Mr. President on what needs to be done to send the Minister of Foreign Affairs to engage with the US government, it is a step that is below where we are now. Where we are now requires Mr. President to meet with the President of the United States of America to discuss the issue one-on-one. The same way that the South African president met with Trump and discussed the issue of the killing of white farmers in South Africa. This is the level that we are now. The level we are now is beyond presidential aides, is beyond diplomats, is beyond what we should have, like the ambassador going to speak. It is president to president at this level. Because if they fail to do so within now and the end of this month, by the month of December, the US may take that action to protect. Look, all they are just trying to do is they are pointed at this particular issue to say that your government is not doing enough to protect the Christians, and we are going to come and support the Christians. And the US is not saying that they are going to take over Nigeria or fight Nigerian government. They are coming to fight the insurgents in Nigeria. But I know quite well that they must take some actions, they must take some permission, some engage the federal government before they can come in. So this is the window of negotiation. This is the window of diplomatic intervention by Mr. President. He wanted to go to US and meet with the vice president. This is not a level that the president of Nigeria will meet with the vice president. He needs to meet with the president directly. And I learned we have the G20 summit in South Africa. So he's going to meet Trump there. And I believe that we have a little opportunity to discuss with Trump and then agree with him to go and meet with him in the White House and address this issue within the shortest possible time.
All right. I mean, it's really shocking that all of this is happening in Nigeria right now, and we just wonder what the outcome of the possible meeting between the two presidents would be. What do you think should be at the front burner of that meeting if it still happens to hold, whether at another engagement or at either of the state houses? I mean, right now it's looking unlikely that the Nigerian president would meet with the U.S. president at the White House. It's looking more plausible that this meeting would happen at another planned engagement. What's your take on this? What are your expectations from such a high-profile meeting?
What I think should happen at a high-profile meeting is that the U.S. have taken a decision to say that Christian genocide is going on in Nigeria. What Mr. President should do is to put together his statistics, facts, and figures, giving the names of all those who have been killed in Nigeria, at least for the past 10 years. Look at how many are Christians and how many are Muslims. And then be able to convince the U.S. that those who were killed are not only Christians, but Muslims were also being killed. And then the U.S. will look at the proportion of Muslims that are killed to that of the Christians that are being killed. And then Mr. President should also try to put on the ground efforts that are being taken, steps that are being taken by the presidency to address this issue over the years. The effectiveness of those efforts, how has it helped and how has it not helped? Because even within the period of the U.S. describing Nigeria as a country of particular concern, there has been killing of more Christians in Kaduna, and it's happening almost on a daily basis. So I think Mr. President should be able to convince the U.S. president beyond all reasonable doubt, like lawyers will say in court, to make the U.S. not to have any reason to believe that more Christians are being killed in Nigeria or genocide is going on.
So let's quickly
have reason to reverse their decision.
Let's quickly, Dr. Fineface, let's quickly take a look at some reactions that have trailed this move as captured succinctly by New Telegraph. We're seeing that Chad has closed border with Nigeria over the possible U.S. military action. We're also seeing Obi, that's Peter Obi, blaming CPC designation on leadership failure and, of course, urging constructive diplomatic engagement, while the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, is blaming this claim on opposition. He's saying that opposition is behind the claims of genocide against Christians. What's your take, particularly to the FCT minister's reaction?
And Dr. Fineface, for your answer, just to add to that question, on the Daily Sun, it seems as if since the last time the Trump admin already had their opinion on this, because the headline there is how Buhari's refusal to help raised U.S. eyebrows. So you talk about proving beyond reasonable doubt. Has the U.S. already made its mind up?
Yes, Nnamdi, let me start from there by saying that the U.S. has made up its mind over this particular issue of Christian genocide in Nigeria. That is because the U.S., unlike Nigeria, that don't state statistics and carry out research, the U.S. mission in Nigeria is reporting from Nigeria, and they have their record that they are relying on to work on this over the years. The U.S. started diplomatic mission with Nigeria since 1960. They have been here for over 65 years now. And I think that they have their record that they have over time to see what is happening. So I think they have made up their mind to take this action, except Mr. President and the Nigerian government is able to convince the U.S. President and the U.S. government otherwise. Now, the FCT minister are blaming opposition for this action. I think that is not very correct, because if you watch, we have seen in the media, sometimes in 2014, we have about, I think, late President Muhammadu Buhari and some APC leaders paying a visit on the US president and laying bare issues that they call opposition issues that expose some of these things, some of these killings, even to the US government and other things that have been happening over the years. So I do not think that any opposition have been propagating this issue of killings of recent to the extent that we can blame this on the opposition. So I think it is just a kind of a side talk that it is the opposition that should be blamed here, because we are all seeing what is happening across the country. These things are very glaring. We are seeing them, actions that are being taken. So we are very clear on these issues. Now, Chad has closed its border against Nigeria for any possible U.S. military action. I think it is very, very easy, just laughable that just a pronouncement by the U.S. president that has not been executed could prompt a country to shut its border against Nigeria. And when you talk about shutting the Chadian border against Nigeria, the Chadian border is not different from the Nigerian border. Nigeria has over 1,400, illegal routes into the country. Chad is not special to say that they have a single route into Chad. for that reason, if they announce the closure of the one they consider official routes into Chad, that the routes or the channels to Chad are closed, that is not true. They are just trying to come into the picture and be recognized in the conversation
Dr.
about the possible US
I mean, that's a real clock to their T, isn't it? Let's just look at the PDP leadership crisis as well, still on New Telegraph. I mean, I just like what the editor is doing on this paper. Tension at PDP headquarters as faction loyal to Anyanwu takes over Secretariat. Now, some videos surfaced online of some people who had gathered at the Secretariat. They were shouting. I mean, we have the videos, so I'm sure we'll pop those up. You know, you saw them there, and people wondered what was going on exactly. So now we have the basic, statement on it, saying that these were people loyal to the FCT minister, of course, the Anyanwu faction going ahead to take over the Secretariat. What's your appreciation, Dr. Fineface, of the PDP leadership crisis, especially now that we've seen the Bayelsa State Governor defect, of course, also saying that he had to do this because after he even tried to save the People's Democratic Party. I mean, it's all coming at such an ironic time, don't you think?
Yeah, I think all of this happening is just clear to the fact that the FCT minister controls the PDP to a very large extent, and he believes that he has a say in whatever should happen. Remember, just some days back, he said it that they are excluding him from major decisions of the party. They are not inviting him. That if they fail to do so, it means that the PDP will be dead and buried, and that is what is happening now. He has put his team together. They have taken over the Secretariat, and they are now in charge. I think court cases are rolling, and more are still going to come. And then these are clear reasons why the Diri said that he doesn't want his states to sink with the PDP, because the PDP is sinking. And the PDP is being decapitated ahead of 2027 general elections. And that is to say that the PDP is going to even come third in that election. They don't know what they are doing. So the clear point here is that the FCT minister is exercising his powers within the party, because we understand he has been funding the party, and he has been saying so, and he has not been countered. That right from time, he has been funding the party and he has control over the party. And that anybody that thinks that what he's doing is not right should suspend him and let him see if that suspension can stand. And they have not been able to suspend him. Very, very clear. He has been playing anti-party activity to a very large extent, allegedly. But then I believe that because he has been funding the party, he has total control over several structures and of the party. It's difficult for them to suspend him. So a lot of crises are still coming in the days ahead. Now his men are there. He is the FCT minister. He has the potentialities of ensuring their security while they stay there and hold sway until the court make pronouncements otherwise.
That's very scary. I want us to, from this topic, even segue to another headline, because right now we've seen even in the PDP, we're saying that yesterday we saw the Sheyi Makinde faction trying to regroup. We're seeing Autumn and Fayose aligning with Wike, all these things moving ahead to 2027. And we have the Anambra election coming up just in a few days' time. And, the verdict on, that's going to be a verdict on INEC. But there's also a verdict on the APC. How fair would the APC be at the elections? We saw over the weekend in Niger State, and this headline is on the Daily Trust, parties and voters have rejected the Niger LG poll, Bagos convoy attacked. And we saw what happened where it seemed like the APC was running away with the victory in Niger State. Then we started having protests in Lavun, in Wushishi, in Suleja, and even at Bida, Governor Umar Bago's convoy was pelted with stones and people were injured because people were rejecting what they called widespread cheating and intimidation by the APC. With all our governors now defecting to the APC, and all this madness in the PDP of, a split party, a sit-at-home governor, what do you think, 2027 holds for us?
Well, I think the Anambra election to a very large extent is the first litmus test for Amupitan as the INEC chairman. And he must work with security operatives by way of having meeting with all the security chiefs and of course the Inspector General of Police to ensure that they play the game according to the rule in Anambra, because this is an off-cycle election. So all the security apparatus in the country and personnel are available for deployment to ensure that the election is free and fair. Because like I do say, ABGA is the major legacy of Ojukwu that we still have. And if that party is the legacy and the key legacy of Ojukwu in politics, I think that Ndibo must do everything they can to give that support to ABGA to win that election.
What if they don't like the candidates?
Namdi said?
What if they don't like the candidate? What if they've looked at Afia? What if they've looked at Afia? What if they looked at Afia and said, oh, we like what Labour is doing there. We want to be like Afia.
Not because they don't like the candidate. That is what I was just trying to say before you came in.
Okay.
But because the party is that of a legacy of, Ojukwu. That is what I want them to do. So today I'm even wondering why Afia is not spreading to other 5 states of the Southeast until we have the next state that is to be created added to it. Afia is supposed to cover everywhere. We can't even be talking about Biafra agitation without having the Biafra party to rule within the Biafra territories, to take over everywhere. So let them not look at Soludo whether they like him or not. Let them look at that Afia as the legacy of Odumegwu Ojukwu that is remaining, and they should support it to be there. Then when his tenure leaves, when he finishes from office, they can now go ahead to ensure they have someone that they will like and love to take over as the party leader in the state. So let there be a level playing ground for every political party, and let the election be free and fair, so that we can have someone that the people love to be elected.
To a large extent, I agree with you personally, because Afia is the legacy of the region. There's also the issue of, modern legacy. Who is doing what they want? Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu and Governor Alex Otie of Abia have more or less been runaway standout performers in the region in terms of performance. And the people will now be looking for, we need our own Otie or we need our own Mbah. If Soludo has not given them what they want, now I'm not saying he has not, but I'm saying that, do you sacrifice your need for development in order to keep an ideology that does not have the right people representing it anymore? That is if, of course, they are not happy with Soludo. The flip side, of course, that they are happy with him and he wins. But then there's the other side where the same Governor Soludo is saying he's supporting Bola Tinubu. Bola Tinubu is supporting him. He's within the renewed. He's talking APC points, but he's in Afia. And this is another thing that people are worried about. Will he join the list of defectors once he's elected? We know that, APC has a candidate, but the governor seems to be talking more about the presidency and the renewed hope agenda than even the APC candidates.
Yeah, Nnamdi, I think what is happening there is that why in Afia he's trying to align with the center, why not defecting? The same thing that Bola Ahmed Tinubu did while he was governor of Lagos State in the AD then or thereabout. And then you have him aligning with the center to the best of his ability until he had issue with Obasanjo of PDP then. But the point here remains that talking about supporting Tinubu doesn't mean supporting the APC, but supporting the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The same language that the FCT minister is using, that he is not supporting PDP, but he's supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So at the state level where he is, he's trying to align with the center through Mr. President. And that is to say that the people should vote for him, that whatever benefit they could have gotten from voting for someone in the APC that is in the same party with the president, that they are also going to get it through him. Now, any modern legacy you can talk about, like having, Labour Party come into Anambra State or having APC come into Anambra State. Look, the people must know that the devil you know is better than the angel that you do not know. So Soludo has in a little way to develop the state. All they need to do to sustain the legacy of Odumegwu Ojukwu through the Afia, and then endeavor to ensure that they demand for accountability and transparency from Soludo while re-electing him to become governor of the state for the next 4 years. All
right. Thank you, Dr. Fineface, for your time. That's the time we have for the review this morning. Thank you once again for sharing your informed views as usual. So good to have you.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you, Natalie and Nnamdi. Have a nice day.
I thought you were going to say Natalie and Oji.
My regards to Oji.
Great. Thank you once again. The morning show returns in just seconds, and when we come back, we're taking a special report, of course, on the defection of the Bayelsa State Governor as reactions trail this move from Rivers, being the only state still in opposition in the entire South-South region. Stay tuned.